Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach is one of the first FNAF games developed by Scott Cawthon with a very strong use of storytelling through the environment. The majority of rooms in Security Breach are pretty explainable, like the kitchen where all food is made, Monty Gator Golf, a public attraction at the mall, and the Sticky Note room, where a mimic robot is brought into consciousness and tears off a bunch of animatronic heads. So why on earth is the Sister Location room in the mall? Why are there drawings on the walls? Well, let's start off with its backstory. The room first appears in Sister Location, where the playable character Michael Afton returns after every shift, excluding night 4 where he's attacked by Funtime Foxy and kept in the location overnight. We see Michael sitting in his chair watching the show The Immortal and the Restless, eating popcorn. The only time we see the room change is in the fake ending of the game, where the basket of exotic butters appears on top of the TV, rewarded to Michael for his hard work. We return to the room in Security Breach years after the events of Sister Location and the subsequent games FNAF 3, 6 and Help Wanted. The room in fact is almost identical to the last time we saw it, apart from a few small changes. Due to complications, from now, images are only essential. Explanation will be at the end of the video. There are no longer the photos on the walls. The rays of the sun clock are evidently smaller. The TV speaker is removed. The basket of exotic butters is a different colour. And finally, the lamp has a different lampshade. We already know for a fact that this is not the same room that we see in Sister Location. We know that the Pizzaplex was built on top of the FNAF 6 location, after it was closed, meaning the replica room in Security Breach wasn't created until after the events of Michael's death in the fire. It is controversial in the fandom for who dies in the FNAF 6 fire, but if you want a theory video on this or anything else, let me know in the comments. So we know the rooms are not the same, then how and why is there a replica in Security Breach? I think it's pretty clear that someone has made a replica, perhaps in memory of Michael, hidden away in the utility hallway. But who and why? Let's talk through all the characters so far presented to us. Phone Guy dies in FNAF 1 Night 4, and there is no reason to suspect he possesses any animatronics, therefore not alive when the Pizzaplex was made. Phone Dude has no clear connection to Michael, apart from making the tapes for the first 2 nights of FNAF 3. Apart from this, he never appears again, and as the horror attraction seems to be from a different organisation, I deem him as now irrelevant. Molten Freddy and Scrap Baby are both seen burning in FNAF 6, destroying the remnant of the kids they are possessed by, and leaving all agony, metal and parts to turn into the Tangle, completely incapable of creating such a room. I leave Charlotte separate from these as we never actually see Lefty being burned. I believe this is either because Lefty was in a separate area, maybe with Henry, or simply was not in the fire. We do see the puppets masking the Tangle, but also Charlotte was dead long before Michael would have been old enough to buy a house, and has no reasonable connections to ever try and find, visit him, and make an almost identical replica of his living room. For Henry, there is reasonable enough evidence to assume he did die in the fire, due to the phrasing of his speech. However, there is a slight possibility he might not have. Even if Henry is still alive, just like Charlotte, I can find no reason he would find, visit Michael and make an almost identical replica of said room. It is too convincing to doubt that Michael dies in the FNAF 6 fire, encouraged by the final frames of the true ending. Gregory and Cassidy are both not old enough to have known Michael and remember his living room, unless one of them is Michael's child or a child of a very close friend, due to both of them being very young when Michael died. For both Vanessa and William, I think it's important to point out that this room is evidently hidden. William has no need to hide in the sewers of the Pizzaplex, due to him being in the pizzeria underneath the venue. Vanessa is the only security guard, therefore she has no reason to hide. This remains one main character from the newest game in the franchise, Help Wanted 2. We play seemingly as a mechanic for the Fazbear Company, assisting in repairs of animatronics and equipment. We are shown numerous hints throughout the games to the identity of said character. We are told by Carney,
"Now, you look like you got kids. Win a prize for the little one."
Baby asks us,
What makes you so special?
And finally, one of the most important clues, we are given the Bonnie mask by lighting the graves at the end of the game in the correct order. I think this all links together to one idea, that the character we play as is the father of Cassie from Ruin. As we know, Cassie's father has gone missing, he was a Fazbear technician, and that he loved Bonnie. The Bonnie mask, as theorised by fans, may mean that Cassie's father is in fact Bonnie Bro from the Bite of 83 cutscene, one of the bullies that kills the crying child. What does this mean? Well, a lot. This gives us significant information in his relationship with Michael and the Fazbear Company. It is evident Michael and Bonnie Bro, I'll call him BD for Bonnie's dad from this point forward, are friends while they are both teenagers. As seen in the Bite of 83 cutscene, they are all wearing the masks of Freddy and the gang, and are together putting Cece up to Fredbear to quote-unquote give him a kiss. The fact Michael and BD are standing directly next to each other emphasises this point even more. The trauma of killing Michael's brother must have been extraordinary for the both of them, and I think this cemented their friendship for life. There are numerous sources to agree with this, saying that two adolescents experiencing the same trauma would become even closer, as seen on screen now. There is no reason to say that they did not stay friends into adulthood, and I think this is very likely what happened. My issue, however, is that we assume, due to the novels and hints in game, that Michael experienced FNAF 4, with his later nightmares of the event being how we play the game. This could obviously keep the two away for a long time, but this wholly depends on how long the experiments lasted. The story I mentioned is Ditophobia. Essentially, a boy named Rory experiences FNAF 4 during the night and a rush day where he doesn't leave the house on repeat. All this is caused by some hallucinogenic gas, and when it stops outputting, he realises he's been trapped there for 10 years, from the age of 7 to 17. Personally, I don't think this being an identical parallel makes sense. Cece is the character's perspective from FNAF 4, confirmed by the character encyclopedia. Clearly, his head is below the doorknob. An average door handle in the US is 36 inches high, or 3 foot, so let's assume Cece is this tall. If we look at the Bite of 83 cutscene, we can clearly see that Michael is tall enough where Cece is the height of him waist up. This is obviously nowhere near exact, but it's safe to assume both from the symbolism that Michael is evidently much taller than Cece, and from using a calculation to multiply Cece's height by 1.5 times, we can see that Michael is at the very least 4.5 feet tall. When compared to the national average in 2015, he corresponds to at least being 9 years old, but popular opinion puts him in high school, which runs from the ages of 14 to 18. Either way, it is not an exact parallel to Ditophobia, therefore we don't have an exact time length these experiments went on. To become a security guard in the US, you must be authorised to work in the United States, have your high school diploma or GED, apply for a security license in your area, and pass a criminal background check and drug screening and re-screening as necessary. The important thing here is that you must have a high school diploma. Therefore, for Michael to be a guard in any of the FNAF games, theorised or confirmed, he must have received a high school diploma, meaning he finished high school, which is clearly not possible if he was locked away for multiple years. Therefore, BD and Michael are friends throughout school and not split apart for a significant amount of time. I believe this relationship continued for the rest of Michael's life, with Michael sharing everything with BD, including his upcoming trip to the Sister Location bunker. Whether they meet after Michael is scooped, I do not think matters. The only difference between the time they see each other before Sister Location or before FNAF 6 is Michael's knowledge that his father caused the MCI, the Missing Children's Incident. The only evidence that BD perhaps knows of anything to do with the cause of the MCI is he lights the graves in a specific order in Help Wanted 2. However, this simply could be explained by being the order that the general public knew of the deaths of the children. Regardless of their last meeting, Michael goes missing. BD either knows he went to the Sister Location bunker and has never returned since, or went to the FNAF 6 location, which is clearly labelled as condemned in the Lawkeeper ending of the game. In either circumstance, Michael is missing, and most likely presumed dead by his friend. There's a pretty big gap between the events of Sister Location and Security Breach, and I believe in this time Michael looks for a job in the Fazbear Corporation to try and find out as much as he can about what happened to his friend, and about the company hiding what happened. The evidence secrets currently being masked by the in-universe game Help Wanted. BD is employed as a Fazbear technician, and I believe one of, if not the person to build the Glamrock animatronics. We will come to why in a bit. With BD working at the Pizzaplex early on in construction, he has a perfect opportunity to build a hidden away room filled with memories of his friend. An exact replica of his sitting room, and the same exact chair taken directly from Michael's house, purple of course. This chair clearly much more lived in than the other chairs in the room. I will say the chair in Midnight Motorist is the same colour as Mustard Man, the character people suspect to be Michael Afton, but let's not sidetrack. BD uses this place as a hideaway, a safe place for him, a place to remember his friend, to remember their times together, and to repent for the loss of Michael's brother. Everything in the room is identical to how it was last time they met, apart from one thing. BD had added a basket of exotic butters on top of the TV. They were there the day he went to Michael's house, the house quiet and unlived in for days, and there on the front doorstep was a basket of exotic butters, going off, going bad. These butters Michael's hard earnings at the Sister Location. There is something very important we have missed about this room. The writing on the wall. The writing on the wall is a message to a robot presumably, due to the code. The writing when decoded goes like this. Break and mend, I built the breath. They hunt now, drawn to life. Not real, still keen. And frit and fraught with thought and zest and jest, no blunt woes. Dodge, duck, flash, shoot, crawl, run, crush the vile band. Cry not, try not. Do not hold out hope, no. Your life, your aim will save those with soul. I very much agree with the message being to Gregory, perhaps not written by him, but definitely read by him. We see all these actions achieved by Gregory in game. Dodge, duck, flash, shoot, crawl, run, crush the vile band. Due to BD being a Fazbear technician, he may have well made the Glamrock animatronics. As said in the message, break and mend, I built the breath. The animatronics certainly hunt. The amount of times I have been caught by a teleporting chica is astounding. The part a lot of people are confused by is and frit and fraught with thought and zest and jest, no blunt woes. Frit means frightened, fraught with thought and zest means essentially deep thinking, zest means enthusiasm, jest means either an act or heroic deed. This is all someone giving Gregory a quest that must happen, no questions asked. After looking more at the message, I think it does have a closer parallel to Henry, however the room itself I still believe is made by BD. Now why is it important BD made this room? I think mainly it creates an amazing storyline, linking up the first half of the franchise to the second half. The room he recreates is made as a memory of his friend, and a teaser to the fanbase, but is also a secret retreat, which is perhaps how he survived the all-staff meeting, and therefore was alive to be able to work in Help Wanted 2, and eventually be stuffed into MaskBot. I will admit I am unsure of which ending is the true ending, but it is so narratively satisfying him being put into the MaskBot. BD's story is long and futile, beginning with a teasing of a child, to a murder, to an unbreakable friendship, with the very brother of the child he had helped kill. Growing up with him, sharing their lives, until Fazbear came back into it and Michael disappears after going to work for them. BD following him, the loyal friend he is, working for the same company, until eventually he finds out about Glitch Trap and is brought to his demise by the father of the child he killed, the father of his lifelong friend. All for this to hand off his eternal story to his daughter, in the form of a mask. Thank you so much for watching / listening to the whole video. I spent just over a month, pretty much every other day, doing the script to the whole video, but I really quickly burnt out when doing all the recording and editing and stuff. However, I still wanted some kind of like finalized product, so decided to just use the already recorded audio and stop editing, which is sad, but I don't think I'd ever have got around to finishing everything if I didn't. So I learned a lot from the whole of this, and frankly I really enjoyed it, but I do really wish I had a finished product, as in completely done all the editing, all the video effects. That would have been really fun, but due to the time I had already spent and in the end I could never really sit down and continue due to just lack of motivation. But we have this, and I hope you enjoyed, and I enjoyed finishing it off and just watching it all kind of come together. I started in, I think, July, so it's been a while, but I hope to do more things like this again and just use all the stuff that I've learned from, partly learned to not just burn out really quickly. That's quite a big thing, I think. But yeah, thank you again. I hope I see you again.